Let's be honest, most of us are hooked on sugar right alongside the kids. We sneak it, we crave it, we use it as a reward or to soothe ourselves. But here's the truth. When kids go through sugar withdrawal, parents often mistake it for bad behavior. It's not crankiness, it's chemistry. And in this video, I'll show you what sugar withdrawal really looks like and how to make better choices as a family. Why freedom begins and ends in our kitchen. And at the end, I'll share a sweet recipe that my students love, which is a refined sugar-free cashew butter ball that proves that we don't need processed sugar to enjoy a treat. You may have heard that sugar addiction isn't in the medical textbooks, which is true. It's not listed in the DSM, but our brain scans tell a different story. Sugar lights up the reward centers of the brain the same way drugs do. Kids are even more vulnerable because their dopamine systems aren't fully developed yet. That's why a small candy today can turn into a big craving tomorrow. As a health coach, I've seen this play out with clients again and again. Breaking sugar addiction, or some may call it sugar attachment, isn't just physical, it's emotional. Many of us grew up being rewarded or punished with sweets. We were either rewarded with dessert for good behavior or punished by having sweets taken away, and that conditioning follows us into adulthood, making sugar feel like comfort, love, and even part of our identity. Sugar addiction can be very difficult and emotional to break. But here's the good news. When we understand the cycle, we can break it. So what happens when you take sugar away? We actually go through withdrawal, and that can look a lot like a meltdown, both for kids and adults. Symptoms can include headaches, fatigue, irritability, sadness, or even anxiety. Parents often see this after school or after a birthday party. It's not bad behavior, it's biology. Your child's brain is literally recalibrating after a sugar spike. And remember, this doesn't just happen with cupcakes and cookies. This can be pizza and pasta sauce, yogurt, salad dressing, and even frozen meals. Sugar hides in almost everything. When I talk to teachers, they tell me the toughest time of the day is right after lunch. Why? Because the kids are literally going through sugar withdrawal in the classroom. Their blood sugar spikes from sweetened foods and then it drops fast. That crash shows up as inattention, irritability, and even conflicts among classmates. Imagine how different we'd parent or teach if we recognize these as withdrawal symptoms instead of bad behavior. Here's where we do things differently at Freedom Kitchen. We are a refined sugar-free kitchen. That means we don't use processed white table sugar. What we use are natural sweeteners, maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar, and molasses. These are closer to nature, and when you pair them with fat, fiber, and protein, they don't send the kids on the same crash and burn roller coaster. In fact, one of the kids' favorite recipes was these protein cashew butter balls that we made one year for Halloween. They're sweetened with just a touch of maple syrup, but we packed them with protein and fiber so the kids stay satisfied. It lowers the glycemic load so we don't have that spike and that crash. Now we can argue that sugar is sugar, whether it's processed sugar or maple syrup, it's still sugar. That is true. But if we have to choose a sweetener, we need to choose the natural one. Now I was deceived for years with my own kids. I was buying syrup that I thought was maple syrup. The day that I turned it over and read the ingredient label and saw that it was a container of high fructose corn syrup with caramel color and maple flavor, I was shocked and I felt deceived, betrayed. There's a lot of things that we may take for granted or assume, and we know what it means to assume something. We might assume that it's okay or it's natural. And of course, I had that disbelief that the stores wouldn't sell things that were that bad and the government wouldn't allow it. So I've had my own reckoning and processed the grief that I've had for what I did feed my kids. And I've continued now to teach other families so that you can make a more informed choice. Parents will ask me, well, what do I give my kids instead? As close to nature as possible. So we can have cookies, we can have granola bars, but that's why I started teaching families how to make them so that we're in control of the ingredients. We choose what sweetener and what sugar and how much we're going to put in to our food. When we made pizza in class, we didn't add sugar to the pizza sauce, yet the kids saw that many brands of pizza sauce have sugar. These are all things for us to become aware of so that we can make better choices. Now, what our kids need are essential fatty acids for the development of their brain, and they need protein for the development of their muscles, and we need fiber to keep us full, feed those microbiome in our gut. So fat, fiber, and protein, nuts, seeds, protein, hard-boiled eggs. I like hummus. So the kids learn in class how to make hummus, and they also learn how to make their own caramel because caramel, well, it's just better when they make it themselves. It's natural. One of the biggest mindset shifts for parents is this: don't use sugar as a reward or a punishment. Food should never be tied to love, worth, or behavior. When we say things like, if you're good, you'll get dessert, or no treat until you clean your room, we're wiring our kids to connect sugar with identity and self-worth. Instead, food should be fuel, and that needs to be completely separate. Think back to your own childhood. Did you ever hear clean your plate and you can have dessert? Or maybe if you behave in the store, we'll get an ice cream? Because those patterns don't disappear. They become part of self-soothing as adults. This is why parents often struggle with sugar addiction as much as their kids. They have attachments from their own childhood. And until we change the way we use food in our family, sugar will continue to have power over us. And here's why this matters. The choices that we make in our kitchens today can last a lifetime. The addictive food industry knows this. Decades ago, the tobacco companies bought the food companies and created what was called the addictive food business model. They knew the younger they hooked a customer, the longer they'd have them. But we can break that cycle. Every time we show a child how to make a refined, sugar-free treat or cook a meal with whole ingredients, we're giving them food freedom for life. This isn't about one cupcake or one soda. It's about patterns that are repeated daily and over years. Kids who learn to manage sugar now are less likely to face lifelong struggles with weight, diabetes, or even mood disorders. Choices in the kitchen today echo into adulthood. And that's why I say freedom begins and ends in the kitchen. Listen, sugar addiction is real. Whether it's in the DSM or not, it affects kids and parents, but you don't have to go it alone. If this video gave you a new perspective, share it with someone you love, a friend, a parent, a family member, anyone who could benefit from knowing it's not bad behavior, it's biochemistry. I'll make sure that that recipe for the cashew butter protein balls is linked somewhere in the description. Enjoy.